Are you worried people will reject your service? This episode is for you. In today's episode, I share 7 service-based business tips on how to create an irresistible service offer. Stay tuned as I dig into today's episode. I would like to tell you about Start a Service-Based Business Community for Christian Women. It's a free Facebook community I created for Christian women who want to start a service-based business. If I just described you, please come and hang out with me on the free Facebook community. You will find support, clarity, and accountability on your new business journey. The link to join the community is in the episode description. I can't wait to see you there. Let's dig into today's episode. Hey sis, welcome to the Start That Business podcast, where you will find practical solutions that empower you to start your service-based business. I'm your host, Chichi Ukomadu, an entrepreneur, wife, mom of 3, and a Jesus follower. 10 years ago, I was afraid of giving up my desire to build a corporate career and say yes to the Holy Spirit's nudge to start that business. I believe personal fulfillment comes from letting go of your way and saying yes to God's way so you can become all you were created to be. If you're ready to find personal fulfillment, grab a cup of coffee, tea, or hot cocoa, and your favorite snack. It's time to take your first step to start that business. You know the one I'm talking about? Yes, that one you've been putting off for a long time. In 2021, my sister was excited to start her business. She's a registered nurse and a family nurse practitioner, and she wanted to transition from working for hospitals to starting her own practice. She was so excited to get this business started, and she found another lady who had done a similar transition from working in a company to starting her own practice. And the lady told her to pay her $3,000 to help her set up her business and start. And my sister's number one complaint was, I don't know what I'm getting for $3,000. This lady is just telling me to pay $3,000, but she's not telling me exactly what I'm getting in this business setup services she wants to offer to me. So essentially, this lady created a service offer that was confusing for my sister, that left my sister in doubt as to whether she'll be able to deliver on what she was promising. My sister ended up not going with her service because it was not clear. She didn't know exactly what she was getting. Here are 7 service-based business tips that you can use to create an irresistible service offer that is clear, that leaves confidence in the mind of your potential customer that you can deliver on your service. Number 1, discover your potential customer's number 1 problem. Discover their number 1 problem that your service can solve, and also the number 1 desire that your service can provide. This will require you spending time to talk to potential customers, interview them, find out what is your number 1 problem regarding business that I want to start. Because you don't want to create a solution that no one has a problem to and no one is willing to pay to solve. The first tip is to discover your potential customer's number 1 problem and discover their number 1 desire. What is that thing they want to get out of your solution? Once you discover that, you're ready for tip 2. Tip number 2 is give your service offer a descriptive name. I'll use this podcast as an example. This podcast is focused on helping Christian women start that business. That business is a service-based business. So the name is descriptive. When you see my podcast ad, you know that this person is going to be talking about business. She's going to help me start a service-based business. So give your service offer a descriptive name, a name that your potential customer can understand. A little tweak you can have here. Sometimes you might have this name, maybe God has given you this name. You can still use it, but make your tagline descriptive. So your name can be Sushi and Sushi, and the tagline can be I help Christian women start a service-based business. That's just an example. So, but you get what I'm saying. If your name is not descriptive, make sure the tagline that goes with your name is descriptive, but try to come up with a descriptive name for your service offer. Tip number 3, create a service offer that solves the number one problem and provides your potential customer the number one desire you identified in tip 1. Of what use is it when you know their number one problem and you know their number one desire, but you don't create a solution or a service offering that solves that number one problem and gives them the number one desire? Make sure that when you're creating your service offer, you explain in detail using bullet points, or maybe you get a professional to design what problem your service is solving. So let it be very clear. In the example of the lady I shared initially, what she could have done, she could have created maybe a one-page PDF document that tells my sister, okay, when you pay this $3,000, you will get, I will help you with applying for licensing. I will help you set up your website. I will help you set up insurance claims and all that. I will help you with the marketing portion of this business. So listing everything down that way, it is clear what your potential customer is actually getting. So make sure you go into detail to list them out. Also list all the transformations or the deliverables your service will provide to satisfy your customer's number one problem when they purchase your service. All this comes in when you're creating your service offer. So list it. What do they get at the end of using your service? If you are into creating websites for business owners, what they will get at the end is you can tell them you will get a 5-page customized website. If you're into creating maybe logos or other design elements, you will say, at the end of this service, you're going to get a logo in this format or in 3 versions. So create a service offer that solves their number one problem and provides them their number one desire, and be very detailed to explain how your services does this. Tip number 4, differentiate your service by value, not price. A lot of us come out in the service business and you say, oh, I want to provide this excellent service at reduced price. In the service industry, don't be afraid to put your price a little bit higher than your competitors or what is already available in your market. I remember when I was starting out as an international personal shopper, I looked at my market and I saw that everyone was at a certain price range. But I knew the kind of service I wanted to bring into the market. And I didn't want to differentiate myself through price. I didn't want to be the cheapest person on the block, but I wanted to be that international personal shopper that when you came to me, you got value for your money. You won't break the bank, but I was not the cheapest. I was not the most expensive in the industry, but I was not the cheapest either. So differentiate your service by value and not by price, and communicate that value in your pricing, because you want to create a service that is sustainable. You want to create a service that you enjoy providing to your customers. If you make it too cheap, you might not be able to sustain that business. So differentiate your service by value and not by pricing, and communicate that value in your pricing and also in the details of what your service is providing. Don't charge $3,000 and your customers can't see exactly what they're getting for that $3,000. So match the value you're giving with the way you communicate that value. Tip number 5, make it easy for your customers to order and pay for your service. Oh my God, this is so important. I've had experiences where I've tried to schedule a hair appointment with new hairstylist, and it is so difficult to schedule on their websites. There are too many hurdles you have to jump over, and the payment system is not as convenient or smooth. When you are thinking of how your customers will pay you, think of Amazon. Amazon came up with this payment functionality called Amazon One Click. So with one click, you can check out of your cart. That's why a lot of us like to shop on Amazon. It's so easy to check out. It's so easy to pay for your order on Amazon. So make sure that it's easy for your customers to order your services and pay for your services. That is one way you can make your offer irresistible. Also provide different payment options to your customers, especially if your service is a high ticket item. So if it's a high ticket item, give your customers maybe a 3-month instrumental payment plan or 6 months instrumental payment plan or 12 months instrumental payment plan. Give them options that is easy for them to engage your service, and you too can also be profitable and sustainable. Tip number 6, deliver your service professionally and excellently. Now, I cannot overemphasize this. When you're providing a service, word of mouth is your biggest advertising channel, because once you provide the service for one customer and they like it, they will tell other people, hey, go check that service out. Let's take, for instance, you're in the hair service business, you're a hairstylist. If I come to you and I get my hair done and you serve me professionally and excellently, guess what? That hairstyle becomes an advertisement. As I go around and people admire the hair, they'll be like, oh, I like your hair. I'm like, yes, I can recommend you to the stylist who got the hair done for me. Make sure you deliver your service professionally and excellently. Take responsibility when you drop the ball. When you promise your customer that you're going to deliver at a certain time and you're not able to make that timeline, take responsibility for dropping the ball. Every service you offer is an advertisement for potential customers. Tip number 7, create a feedback loop. Now, what do I mean by feedback loop? Feedback loop simply means create a way that you can actively listen to your customers and get feedback from them to improve your service. This feedback loop can be a simple Google form that you create, so that once you finish serving a customer, you can email the form to them and you can ask them, how was the service? How did you enjoy the service? What could I have done better? What did I do well? How can I improve? So make sure you create a feedback loop using a simple form. It can be a simple text message. Maybe you don't want to go the form route. It can be a message you send to them in their social media DM. But make sure you have a loop to actively listen to your customers so you can get feedback from them. You can use that feedback to improve your service. All right, let's recap. 7 service-based business tips you can use to create an irresistible offer that is clear, that is concise, that is easy for your potential customer to understand and purchase. Number 1 was discover your potential customer number 1 problem and their number 1 desire that your service can solve or provide. Number 2, give your service offer a descriptive name. Number 3, create a service offer that solves the number 1 problem and provides your potential customer the number 1 desire you identified in tip 1. Number 4 tip is differentiate your service by value and not price, and communicate the value in your pricing and in the way you design your service. Tip number 5 was make it easy for your customers to order and pay for your service. Tip number 6, deliver your service professionally and excellently. Tip number 7, create a feedback loop to actively listen to your customers and improve your service. One resource I would like to recommend when you're creating an irresistible offer is a book titled Selling the Invisible by Habakkuk. I read this book. This book is a must-read for anyone looking to sell their services. So get on Amazon and grab a copy of this book. It will help you go into even more detail in creating an irresistible service offer. Habakkuk 2:2 says, "And the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it." Your irresistible service offer is the vision that communicates how you will take your potential customer from their number one problem to their number one desire. When the vision is clear, they will run with it by paying for your service. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on today's episode. I hope this was helpful. I hope this blessed you. Keep listening for more exciting episodes. I will see you soon. Hey sis, before you go, if this podcast has encouraged you, helped you, inspired you, or taught you something new, please head over to Apple Podcasts and search for Start That Business Podcast and leave me a written review. That's one of the ways I know this podcast is impacting your life. Thank you so much. I'll also love to connect with you on Instagram. My handle is @ChichiUkomadu. Until next time, always remember you have all you need to start that business. I'll see you soon.